Hey guys, MC Mura here, and today is a big day for us Street Fighter 6 enjoyers because Capcom just put out a balance patch for Street Fighter 6. Not all characters got affected, only a handful. Some of the low tiers got buffs, some of the top tiers got some nerfs to their more problematic moves. So let's get into it and let's get that mouse out of here. I'm gonna start first with Manon because this is my main and this is the first buff, right? When you do her back medium kick out of a drive rush, she does move forward a little bit more. There is like the sliding momentum effect, and this is good for her, gives her a mid-range drive rush option. It's not the fastest and the distance isn't greatest, but it's better than she used to have, and this is hit confirmable, so you can get like a knockdown out of that, and this is really good for knockdown for her, because let's say for example I'm gonna knock down JP with a slide. Now I'm doing this and this puts me at a +2 advantage, and this is good because now like I can go for like the command grab, and if he happened to get hit, right, just Mura showing you like quick Oki session, right? You can kind of loop it into itself, so that is pretty great. Let's say for example that JP decided to wake up with a drive impact, it still should be safe to it, right? You still should be able to recover in time and get a punish on him. So this does give Manon is sort of an Oki situation that she kinda needs, so that's good, right? And the back medium kick in general is like an annoying move because you can thread the overhead, you can thread a lot with it, so pretty decent change. The second one got to do with her level 2 super. This one is kind of infamous for dropping when you hit it at an opponent that was really high. Should now be a little bit more consistent, but I still think this is prone to whipping every now and then. Let's start. So I guess it should be more consistent, but yeah, that still can happen. But I guess it should be better in combos, right? So apparently made it more consistent, but as you see, not that much. Now let's go over to JP, the man of the hour, and this character got some very deserved nerfs, very needed. The first one to his standing heavy punch. This move, it actually had like a lower hurt box, but now, now he can't swing mindlessly with that normal as he used to be. Now he should be easier to whiff punish. Pretty good, pretty well deserved. And this move was obviously very problematic. The second change got to do with his departure. Departure is obviously like the portal. Now when he does it, the second hit will have more scaling. So prior JP would do this, the explosion will happen, and then he would like follow up and get a combo, right? But now notice this, when I use like, let's just do it proper, like this heavy punch now, notice it's saying 80%. So it got more scaling, which actually is pretty good. I'm gonna switch over to JP now because I need to show you the two other changes, and I kinda need to be the person on the receiving end to show you how this functions, right? So the next one got to do with his crouching heavy punch. This is still a wicked anti-air, but this had upper body invincibility. This means that you could do it extremely late and it would win, right? JP players, this was pretty much a one button DP, but now if I do it late, I lose. Now you can't like last second anti-air with it with JP as you used to be, not as much. Now you kinda actually have to time it better, which is a pretty good change, to be honest. He can't like lose it as a last second, else he get hit, right? So that is pretty nice. The final change is to like OD amnesia, right? And we know about this now. It does have more scaling. When you happen to use it, the scaling is really harsh now, so he doesn't get as good of a situation. You know the drill, right? Like you knock him down, for example, just such as like this situation. Right, now this is scaled proper and he's not getting as much damage, which in all honesty, again, That is pretty good. Also, they changed the meter gains as opponent get for parrying a departure. Like let's see it. Let's set here Luke to parry everything. Block all, and makes block a drive parry. So if the opponent happen to block a departure, they getting way more drive gauge, which again will deserved because JP pretty much wins the neutral with departure, and it kind of have a mix-up because he can teleport to your location. So if the opponent did get the read and if the opponent happened to parry it, they deserve to get the gauge. Alright, so let's now go over the changes for Jamie. Jamie was widely considered to be one of the weakest characters in the game, and the changes for him I think are pretty good. You probably know about this by now. This is obviously his forward throw, puts him at a plus 23 advantage, so you can have like a throw loop situation in the corner. Well documented, we all know about this, but they gave him a new grab. You hold the throw button, and Jamie now does a drink after, and this puts him at a plus 7 advantage, which is good because even in the corner now, you still get to meaty with a standing medium kick. So let's say that let's make Rashid block everything here, and let's get like the corner situation. Right, you can still drive rush and continue on with your pressure, so it's not like you can still kinda keep up with the pressure even if you happen to go for the level up, which is really good for him. The second change got to do with his level 1 super. This now does flat out more damage, right? It's a damage buff on both the version where you end with a drink and the version that you don't, and you are closer to an opponent once you knock them down in the corner. Now you're right on top of them and you got more frame advantage, so that is pretty big. The final change to him that is pretty meaningful got to do with his level 2 super. Level 2 with Jamie was really good in some instance, but really bad. It is an install, it immediately puts you at like level 4 during Jamie, and level 4 during Jamie is kind of a monster, but the issue is if you didn't end the round, you would have to go back to level 1 during Jamie. Now he goes back to what he had prior to the install. So now this install doesn't have a drink penalty. Jamie now gets the buffs, gets the pressure, gets the upgrade, but he doesn't get the penalty of having to re-drink everything from the start, which is honestly this is a pretty big deal for Jamie, right? I think this is actually pretty great for him. Now let's switch over to Rashid and Luke. Two characters that got changes that are pretty meaningful, I will say. So let's start first with Luke, or let's start first with Rashid actually, it's gonna be easier. So let's now go over the balance changes for Rashid. Rashid, you know the meme. Luke jumps heavy punch, Rashid tries to anti-air, Rashid gets stuffed, Gashikun gets sad. Now EX Mixer is a much more reliable anti-air, right? Pretty good for him. This is really big because especially against characters with like absurd jump-ins like Luke, he had real big issues trying to anti-air them, but now that have been addressed. His standing light punch apparently had like a smaller hurt box than normal, but now this have gotten addressed. It should be easier to whiff punish. And there is one issue, there was like this issue with his level 2 super where there was like a phantom hitbox. There was like the last hit with a phantom hitbox. I don't know the setup where I can exactly replicate it, but there was the possibility of getting hit by the tornado while the tornado was not on screen. There was like a lingering hitbox, and that got addressed, thank the Lord. But in general, I think this is pretty good for Rashid, right? This buff especially because anti-airs were pretty much like the weakest aspect of Rashid's game. Him now, like yes, like the heavy mixer, like you have to do it early, but still having like the option to like even do last second or even like early spinning mixer EX version and having a reliable anti-air, that's good. Now let's go over the changes for Luke, right? And Luke got a pretty big nerf to his crouching medium punch. Now this move is easier to whiff punish. As you can see, they gave it more recovery on whiff, so the move is now easier to whiff punish, which is pretty big deal. Luke's crouching medium punch was like the $1 million button. Still, his combos, everything is the same, but this move now got a little bit more recovery. It's nothing too drastic, but it should be a little bit easier to whiff punish. But as you can see, still not that easy, but it is easier. It's easier, which is pretty good. They did also change his air knuckle, because some Luke players use this to like bait anti-airs. They would use it to bait like uppercuts of sort, all sort of shenanigans. But now when he happened to whiff it, he got more landing recovery, so you do actually get to punish him a little bit easier, right? That is pretty good. And the final change have to do with his level 1 super. Let me show you this one real quick. And this one is a big one actually. This is probably, in my opinion, this is the biggest change to Luke. Like, if I'm being honest, what they made it is that it's now he got more hurt box on startup. So it's gonna be harder to like anti-fireball wizards. I feel like prior that would have worked, but yeah, it's now a little bit harder for Luke to beat fireballs with his level 1, which, like I said, this is a big deal. Crouching medium punch, yeah, it was too cheap, but now it's kind of normalized with the rest of the game. The level 1 buff, the level 1 super, yeah, this one, this is pretty major. Alright, so let's now talk about Ryu and his changes. Ryu was one of the most buffed characters in this patch, and what they did with him is honestly pretty good. So the first change is his solar plexus. This has an issue where the opponent were able to block the first hit, but kinda move out of the way, move backward, and you will get whiff punished. Now this is more consistent. They block one, they block all, and this is now a lot better as a jailing tool or an approach tool per se. Again, if you happen to whiff it, I still got a ton of recovery, but if you were able to get them to block it, you're good now, which is a really good change, right? The second one got to do with his OD uppercut. Ryu's reversal, his Shoryuken, is a 2-hit move, right? It hits twice, but there were some instances where you would only get the first hit to connect, right? Kind of like that, right? And Ryu would get punished in this instance. Now they made it so that he is safe in these sort of situations, which is a pretty big deal, right? It should be a little bit more consistent now, and also if you happen to land the first hit only, you're not getting punished. A small quality of life change, but a pretty big one in functionality, in actuality, right? Because like you could use this move to, like, let's say check drive rushes, right? So this sort of instances happen often. Now you're safe, that's good. Now let's go over the Hashogeki, because this move got a ton of changes. The light one now moves forward a bit more. They made all of them pretty much move forward a little bit more, which got pretty good implications for him. Let's start first with the light one, which is actually really big. This now is -3 on block, right? Safe. Used to be -4, now it's -3. You are pretty much in throw range, right? So you gotta be careful out of that if you do it on block. But the good thing about this, and the great thing about this being -3, is that this is now +1 in burnout, right? Really big, because +1 you get to jail with your standing jab, and then maybe go for like an OD Hashogeki, right? So he got one of those burnout infinites now, so that is really good. Also, because of the forward movement, this now sets up Ryu for some good like meaty situations, like knockdown like Tatsu. You do for the light Hashogeki, you're now +2 in their face. So pretty big buff for him. A medium kick Hashogeki, this moves him forward now, so even if you happen to land like a max range crouching medium kick, still this is gonna connect, so that is pretty big. And heavy Hashogeki also moves him forward now. So they pretty much buffed all of the Hashogekis so that they are more consistent as a frame trap tools, and they are easier to integrate into your game plan. So This is honestly really good for the character. And they also changed like the OD Denjin Hashibeki. This now does like 400 more damage. So he's now getting like substantially more damage on this. I don't got like the exact number on what he used to do like in previous combos compared to what he's doing now, but let's say for example we're gonna go for a combo into like OD Donkey, right? 3700 damage. Yeah, that is pretty big for him. Now the final change is also a pretty major one. Remember the look change where they made his level 1 super worse against Fireball? For you, it's actually the opposite. Now Shinku Hadouken should be a little bit better in Fireball Wars, right? And maybe prior you would gotten hit out of that, but now it's easier for you to win out in Fireball Wars. His hurt box has shrinked, so it's better for him. Alright, so let's now quickly go over the balance changes for Aki and Ken. And Aki got some small changes, but they are actually really big, right? First, her standing medium punch. This now got 5 active frames. This pretty much makes it like a much better option against things like Drive Rush and just a much better neutral button in general. This is a pretty big deal, and I'm sure Aki players are gonna come around a ton of setups with this one, right? They also buffed her crouching light punch, so now you are getting more range out of this. Now the good thing about this is now Aki got a light punch, light kick, light punch. She didn't used to be able to do that prior, but now this is possible, so pretty big for her, although the third hit may whiff, so you want to use the light serpent slash, right? So pretty big good change, and this actually does affect her in some matchups, like for example Ken's step kick. She wasn't able to punish that before, but now she does, right? Right, so pretty big change for the character. 2 changes. One of them is really good, especially against Drive Rush, because it's something that she used to struggle against, and having more punishes on deck with a longer crouching jab, that is a pretty big deal. Now let's go over Ken. Because Ken is one of the characters that got the nerf hammer, thankfully. So the first change got to do with his throw loop in the corner, right? Now when Ken dashes up after his throw, he's only +1. This is significant because now if he does like a dash up throw again, right, like let's set up this situation, and I am the Aki player and I'm gonna wake up with a jab, I'm gonna counter hit him and I'm gonna beat him, right? He still got the meaty, he still can walk forward and go for a manual throw, so I don't think it's like the end of the universe for him. It's still a really good situation, but it's just a little bit easier now for the defender, which good riddance, to be honest. They also changed his like his air Tatsu, so that when he happened to do it, especially like as an escape, something like this one, now it got a little bit more recovery, so it is easier to like whiff punish him if he happened to use it and try to escape, so that's a big deal. Now the final change, which is really big, is the changes to his standing jab, which now have more hurt box. This is directly to target Ken being able to go for drive rush jabs, right? More hurt box, so now his drive rush jab is gonna lose more because his drive rush jab was honestly demonic, so this is a pretty substantial change. Again, Ken is still gonna be perfectly fine, he's still gonna be one of the best, but pretty big and needed changes if I'm being honest. Alright, so let's quickly go over the balance changes for Zangief. They did a bunch of changes to his OD Lariat, and the gist of it is this. They made it more consistent in combos, so the 2 hits are more likely to hit, as you just seen, and they gave it a combo potential to his level 3 super. Right? Now you can cancel the first hit into his level 3, and this is really big for Zangief, right? Because as you can see, he's now able to regenerate his drive, does massive damage in the process. This is a pretty big buff for the guy. Honestly, amazing. This is an amazing change, and he honestly really needed it. As you can see, even on like 3 hits, right? He's still gonna get consistent combos. So the changes to OD Lariat, really good. Now they also changed his level 1 super, so now it got better hitbox against opponents who are on a lower height, right? As you can see, right now it's a little bit better against an opponent. Honestly, I thought it would whiff, but yeah, even if they are a little bit lower to the ground, level 1 super now got a better hitbox. So this is really good, right? These changes not gonna make Zangief top tier all of a sudden, but honestly, they are a lot better. They're gonna make him at least a little bit more consistent, which is a good change for the character, right? DJ got one small nerf, but it's a pretty big one. His sway, especially like sway low, now leaves him closer to the opponent, so he will always like be in throw range, or at least most likely gonna be in throw range, so you can threaten the grab. Because prior DJ like they did this all the time, but now it leaves him a little bit closer. They didn't change the advantage on block, it's still gonna be safe, but yeah, pretty actually substantial change. I don't know if I don't think this is gonna kill DJ, or like now DJ is fair, but yeah, it's a pretty needed one, I must say. Now let's go over Chun-Li as the final character, because Blanca and Dhalsim pretty much just got some fixes. Chun-Li is pretty much in the same vein as Ken. They made her drive rush jab. This now should be a little bit easier to stop, because she was drive rush jabbing a lot, but yeah, this now is easier to stop. And her early, yeah, so the change here is when you happen to hit someone with an air lightning legs, typically you do this in a throw-based scenario. She was +4, she does get like a follow-up combo, but now as a follow-up hit, as you can see, the jab is an 80%, so more scaling. Chun-Li still gonna be amazing, probably even better in this patch, to be honest, because Ken, JP, and Luke got some nerfs, so she's gonna be even better, but let's wait and see. Blanca, Dhalsim, both of them got some fixes, but not a big deal. And that's about it for this patch. A lot of characters still untouched. I'm still waiting for more on Manon, Zangief, Lily, so some characters still do need some help, but hey, good changes. I guess we should wait and see how all of this will impact how the game functions. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment, help the channel so much. We'll be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter, and Twitch pages in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and stay safe.